And it's 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles. Good morning, Pastor Chatelet. Thank you, JLP, for rating the stream over here. I'm live on punchy.tv/Hake, Rumble, according to my calculations. YouTube, what's up, YouTube people? Salute to you, Krabby Turtle. New chief mod of the Jesse Lee Peterson show, by the way. Live on Facebook and elsewhere. D-Live. What's up, D-Live crew? Thank you, Kilo Alpha Tango, for the ice cream and beta legs, too. That's cool. Whoa. Gonna have a loosey goosey. Is it gonna be loosey goosey or is it gonna be stiff-necked? A stiff-necked people. That's what the Israelites are. And that's what Hake is. Hake, Jewish confirmed. People say that Hake is Jewish. Well, not people. Yeah, people. The human man. The nutcases. What are we going to cover today? We'll see. We will see. What's up, Genmo? Nice to see you. Raid. I, for one, really like and appreciate the tariffs. Why? Not because I know anything about tariffs, but because let me show you this to you guys, I guess. Oh no, what am I doing? I'm trying to type in my wrong laptop. Because I trust Trump to do his job as the president, looking out for the best interests of the country. And I think that's a valid thing to do. Why am I looking up? Because for some reason, past 2 days, this doesn't show. It goes to no signal. Thanks, Nick. Nick, that American Anchor Baby. And Hake doesn't have an Anchor Baby shirt because there is no Anchor Baby shirt yet. But in faith, we will pray for an Anchor Baby shirt. I trust Trump to do the thing, you know? I don't trust, I'll tell you one thing I don't trust. I don't trust that Canada will have the wherewithal to hurt us more than we hurt them. And it's not about hurting them or hurting us. It's about getting what's right. Canada is not running their country right, and they're not doing right by us, according to Trump, which, since he's saying it, I believe it. Trump said it, I believe it, that settles it. That's a Christian phrase, by the way. The Bible, God said it, I believe it, that settles it. And Trump is a son of God, you could say, right? Would it be true? Some naysayers might say, no. But I would say, who are you to say no? He is brilliant with a lot of the worldly things and perhaps even some spiritual things. He's addressing Congress today. The Democrats are going to respond. And I don't trust the Democrats to respond capably against Trump. They haven't been, you know? So Trump is going to make the world great again. You know, as far as it depends on him. Which one man with the right kind of worldly power and the right kind of spiritual power and the using his worldly, God-given talents, if you will, to use a biblical sort of a phrase, somewhat. He's able to do it. Very nice. Very, very nice. Am I live on X? Yeah. The Ukraine pause is in effect right on until he shows some respect. And who cares about respect? On some level, I guess it's right. You should show respect. It's called knowing how to get along with people. Let's make a deal. You'll notice that Trump respects everybody, when it's time to show respect to everybody. But Zelensky didn't know. He didn't know. So I trust Trump as far as I can throw him. Rest in peace to Carl Thomas Dean, 82-year-old late ultra private husband of that woman who said, or some people said that she said, find the good in everybody. Oh, Lord. Shout out. I'm glad I work for JLP and not Dolly Parton. Although it was Country and Western Tuesday. She's not so good. I will get to your super chats, guys. I think some did come in. I forget. Oh, should I do this in front of you guys? I'm late in doing this because I my neck hurt, so I took my sweet time. In the world, I took my sweet time. Don't cover your eyes, kids. Here, I know what to do. There we go. By kids, I mean nosy adults. Cover your eyes. Okay, good. Last time I showed my earnings, and it was like more than double what it normally is. They're like, nice earnings, Hake. Because Mo Betta is very generous sometimes. Yeah, there was a super chat that came in. Guys, it's complicated business over here. What's up, Lin Yan Chen? Nice to see you as always. Did you guys like the Punchy TV episode? Punchy TV did happen yesterday. Punchy TV is always cool, I think. Shout out to the producer of that, Joel Friday TV, who will be live right after Hake. And then Anchor Baby will be live right after that. What's Jen Mull saying? Hopefully it's something that I can show. Heard the hilarious song yesterday that was so apropos for a Jesse show. Right a Hit by the Jimmy Sphere Marcia Ball. Worth a listen. Good laugh. Okay, nice. Jimmy's featuring. Thank you. Oops, don't say that word, kids. It's not a real word. Okay. So anyway, guys, you can call in 1-888-775-3773. I unmuted the wrong thing. Did I? Oh, it's there. Cool. So, anyway, guys. Oh, I have to open up everything. Let's just get right on with the... I wonder if this is going to go in front of it. Show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. It's pronounced apropos, Hake. Apropos. Then why is it spelled apropos? I don't believe you guys. Trolling me. I'm kidding. I believe you guys. Let's find out if these people are telling the truth. Wow, look at those beautiful flowers. How apropos. What's that? Okay. With reference to, concerning, she remarked, apropos. It's not apropos, kids. Apropos. Oh, let's hear it.
Apropos.
Apropos? I've heard that word before. I didn't know that that's how it was spelled. I was homeschooled.
Apropos.
Apropos. Why are you doing it in woman? Apropos. Apropos. Oh, okay. Very appropriate to a particular situation. Wow, you're using very. Why not just call it appropriate to a particular situation? Or a preposition. It's a preposition or an adjective. A preposition is kind of like he jumped apropos of the log. The rabbit jumped under the log. The rabbit jumped through the log. The rabbit jumped on the log. The rabbit jumped next to the log. All those are prepositions. It's like in relation to something. Right? With reference to concerning. She remarked apropos of the initiative. Oh, it's not going to stop the abuse. Oh, so when I remark apropos of these fake gun safety laws, they're not going to stop the killing. If you do enough of them, you'll slow it down, but at what cost? At the cost of what's right. It's not going to stop evil. You're not dealing with the root issue. When I'm remarking apropos of gun safety laws, you're not dealing with the root issue. You're dealing with symptoms and not in the right way. Apropos, Hake remarked apropos of handing out, cover your eyes, kids, condoms to the teenagers. You're not dealing with the root issue of self-control and encouragement of lust and sex out of wedlock. You're actually making it worse. Hake remarked apropos of teen pregnancy and abortion. Abortion increased out of wedlock births. Abortion did not mean fewer kids born out of wedlock. More kids were born out of wedlock because they were starting having the sex out of wedlock. Apropos. Apropos. Nice. Thank you for the mummification. Thank you for the education, live chat. Need more access. Right, access. Communist buzzwords. Okay. Oh, cover your eyes or cover your ears? Oops. Okay, so thank you guys. By the way, very apropos to the Hake report, I'm wearing the Hake report la 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 t-shirt. Wait, la la la. Well, now I'm going to start abusing the word. Okay. What's up, Harmony? So you can go to the hakereport.com or hake.printify.me for finding your Hake swag if you are so inclined. All right. Let's get to some content. I wanted to show you how to avoid sharks. How to make sharks avoid you. I'm going to mute the volume on this, hopefully. Okay, no. Okay, this is pretty cool. All right, let's mute that. Boom. Boom. Okay, so you can see, wow, this is a perfect pausing point. Wow. So, I'm showing you a diver, a screenshot from video footage, purportedly real, of a diver with white hands, I think. It might be a white-handed or Hispanic hands. Or just some light-skinned person. Holding the snout. I don't think that it's what's called a snout. Of a shark! Wow! That is so cool. And the title of this is Never Run Away from a Shark. Screaming emoji, hashtag shark, hashtag sharks, hashtag tiger shark, hashtag shark diving. This is on YouTube, far left YouTube. And thank you for this person who shared it. Let me see if I can zoom in on that part. Adriana Marine shared this. Proper credit, right? And so hopefully it's muted properly. Watch how this person, I think it's a man's hand, by the way, directs the shark, steers the shark away from him. Make sure you lock your elbow. It goes kind of fast for my taste. I can't read that fast. Use your fins to block or place your hand firmly on top of their head, the shark's head. Sharks are not they, them, I believe. I believe sharks are him, he, him, or she, her, by the way. Because there's a female shark or a male shark. But you can call its head, you could say it, the top of its head, to push it away, not them away. This woman might be a liberal, but shout out. I still like the video. Watch, watch this, and I'll try to read along as it goes. Look at him. He pushed the shark away. Make sure you lock your elbow and follow through to make sure the shark swims away. It doesn't come back and try to bite at you. Pretty cool. Well, look at that beaut. Look at that beauty. And look around to ensure no other sharks are coming. Man, that thing is beautiful. I would want to make sure I had goggles so I didn't accidentally put my hand on like the lower lip of the shark and then it opens up and like bites my fingers. Wow. And it's silent because it has cool music, but I don't want to share the cool music. We don't share cool music on the Hake Report. Then slowly back away from the area while watching the shark. Look at that beaut. I guess it's called a tiger because it has these subtle stripes. Tiger shark. That is awesome. Wow. This information is for safety. Please do not seek out these types of interactions with sharks without a professional guide, states this person on YouTube. Wow. Okay, so if you're ever swimming in the ocean and you see this shark, or any shark, and you see a shark, and then you see like, okay, so this person is swimming like on his back. His back is down toward the floor of the sea and pointed up a bit, and he's kind of swimming backwards, and you see this person's fins flowing. Never back away from it. Running away makes you look like prey, but he's not full-blown running away from it, but he is going away from it. So this person seems to be not heeding his or her own advice, or this person's advice. This will cause the shark to follow you. Watch, this shark is going to turn. You see him in the distance? Wow, beautiful. As I quickly this is a woman? But I'm confused because this person is called Adriana. Is that a man named Adriana? I know those Italians have these. Look at that beauty. You can see the shark turn and take an interest in me. Look at that. Whoa. Man. Not that I would want to be there, but it looks awesome. It's undeniable. It gets closer and closer. Oh, no. Oh, no. Such a boomer. Hey, should I refresh? The world. Okay, there we go. If you're ever on the ocean floor, you see a shark, never swim away from it. Thank you, saying it, not them. Running away makes you look like prey. Will cause the shark to follow you. As I quickly try to swim away, you can see the shark take an interest in me, causing it to change direction fully and approach me. While I'm kicking away, the shark keeps getting closer and closer. Wow. Unfortunately, a human could never swim faster than a shark. Why is that unfortunate? And running away triggers swimming away, fleeing, basically, triggers their predatory instinct. The sharks, multiple sharks. And makes the shark see you as a potential food source. Whoa. Instead of swimming away, Ooh, he's opened his mouth to touch. You should stand your ground. Stand your ground. Although stay in, it's not actual ground because you're in the water above the ground or below, whatever. You should stand your ground, make eye contact. Wow. Don't make eye contact with other animals like apes, at least gorillas, at least the silverback ones. But anyway, in the case of sharks, how can you make eye contact if their eyes are on the sides? I don't know. Maybe they can kind of see you. And face the shark, though. And see, use your fins to block. Oh, what in the world? I did it again. This is brutal. No. Okay, let me do it. Make eye contact and face the shark. Use your fins to block or place your hand firmly on top of the head to push it away. Make sure you lock your elbow and follow through to make sure the shark swims away. And look around to ensure no other sharks are coming. Slowly back away from the area. So if you're, I tend not to go into the water, okay? At the beach lately. It's kind of cold. I'll go in if I feel like it, but it's not my favorite thing to do. It is kind of nice, but I'm by myself most of the time. You don't want to go too far out, but if I'm around people, I'll go in. I'll even go in a little bit when I'm all by myself. But be careful when you're out on your own, hiking or in the water, kids and adults. And don't drink and hike, by the way. There was this guy who drank and hiked. I think he was a Hispanic. And my goodness, I think he died. Or he had to be rescued. One or the other, and I think he fell. You know, they have these skinny trails. But I thought that was beautiful, worth sharing. Nice. Quick news. What else is happening? The SpaceX, I heard there was supposed to be a SpaceX launch yesterday around 4-ish p.m. Pacific, but it didn't happen. Elon said, oh, you know, the conditions aren't right. Something like that. A Himalayan avalanche. Crazy. Some Indian workers got trapped for, 36 hours? Look, real quick. 36 hours. Construction workers in India spent in a trapped in a Himalayan avalanche. 46 workers survived. They didn't say how many died, if any died, by sheltering in crushed metal containers in the deep snow. Will you look at that? And they rescued them. See? India's a functioning country. Look at that. Wow. Whew. Survivor airlifted to medical treatment. Dozens of construction workers pulled alive from metal containers, trapped by a deadly Himalayan avalanche for around 36 hours. That's like a day and a half, by the way, guys. Because 24 hours in a day. The Indian Army launched rescue operation after heavy snowfall triggered the avalanche last Friday near a construction site, village of Mana, nearby Uttarakhand State. 10,500 feet. It's pretty high above sea level. 10,000 feet. That's nearly 2 miles high. Right? 5280. So it's less than 2 miles high. That's pretty thin air, I would think. 46 workers survived inside containers. Indo-Tibetan Border Police and Indian Army said. Well, shout out to them. Kept people safe and made the rescue efforts easier because to find a body buried under such dense snow is much harder than finding a large container, he said. Oh, thank you, Commie Nonsense, for not making me pay for this article. Not that I would have. Look at these guys. Congrats. Men's work. Any women? Was it any DEI? Was DEI the reason for the avalanche? Kidding around. But this is men's work. this is part of the reason that men live shorter than women. But I did hear that is it XX chromosomes or women? XX chromosomes, when you inject male, XX is the women, right? Is it right? When you inject male mice with with XX chromosomes, they live longer. It's terrible. That's what I heard, according to some study. You know how women live longer than men per capita. It's actually even, they're trying to attribute it to the chromosomes. I don't know. Glaciers in the Himalayas melted 65% faster in the 2010s compared with the previous decade, which suggests rising temperatures already having an impact on the area. Oh, and it's man-made, by the way, they claim. International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. In 2021, 200 people died after part of a glacier collapsed in that area. Uttarakhand. I remember reading that name before. Carrying a mixture of ice, deadly mixture of ice, rock, water, tore through a mountain gorge and crashed through a dam. Crazy. Erosion of great glacial slopes heightened the likelihood of floods, landslides, avalanches, increased the risk to millions living in mountain communities. So watch out, mountain communities. You have cool stuff, but it's rough. Wow. Okay, so that's a little bit of news for you. I want to get to some calls and your super chats and other stuff and more news. John in Alabama is on the line over here. John, how you doing, man? Thanks for calling and holding.
Thank you. Quick question.
Yes.
So JLP will say, if you're divorced, you got kids, don't remarry until your kids are grown. Are you on the same page with that, or where are you at on that?
My Christian upbringing makes me stricter than that. I say if you divorce, don't remarry. That's what I say. Just from my Christian upbringing, you know, in the Bible it says basically if you divorce and remarry, it's like adultery. But that's my Christian upbringing, and I don't know if that's what God meant and all that stuff. So, but that's I don't see a reason to change my thinking on that at this time. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I have people around me that I'm in community with, and I'll pass on Jesse-ism.
Right.
I just don't really have I came to that same conclusion. I was thinking that, well, if it's adulterous to remarry, you know, in God's eyes,
yeah,
you know, but Jesse qualifies that you know, having kids or wait till your kids are grown,
yeah,
and then you're freed up. So I didn't know why the nuance, but if you were in community and you're would you jump out there bold with like your friends, relatives, neighbors, anybody that you know you have conversations with, and the topic comes up? Would you yourself jump out there right now bold with that sort of an opinion, or are you still formulating?
Yeah, I don't totally know. If somebody asked me, I would say that. I used to blabber that type of thing. I used to say that if once you have the S, you should marry that person or don't get married at all. I used to be that type of strict. I used to say, S sex is marriage. But I don't necessarily agree with that anymore because it's
smoke on it. I'm gonna call Joel one day and ask him the same question.
Yeah, interesting.
I haven't got there yet, but you know, I mean, my kids are young, so it's sort of like, is it irresponsible if I had the same resources before? Is it irresponsible of me just to sit like a monk inside my house? You know, I mean, I have that nagging question.
What do you mean by sit for a month inside your house?
No, sit like a hermit.
Oh, is it irresponsible for you to sit like a hermit rather than go out and work or go
Not
out and
work.
date?
Yeah, I mean, it's well, okay. So, like I said, I have kids.
Right. Young,
So I
under
would tell,
under
I would tell
18 kids, right?
yeah, under 18.
Yeah.
But
And you're divorced, are you?
divorced. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, divorced. So I would tell now it's no fault of mine. I mean,
She divorced you. It wasn't your decision.
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And no infidelity, none of that stuff on my side.
Nice. Right on.
All right. So, but my son, I mean, this is kind of going to come up. I would tell him, I would say, for sexuality, I would say, it's normal. If you, if that's your body's telling you, hey, it really takes up a lot of mental space.
What does
Probably you need to get married. You need to get married, right? And be working toward that. To me, that's God's way of saying, hey, I've given you this appetite. You need, just like eating.
Oh.
It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy to overeat. It's unhealthy to undereat. You need to take this appetite and handle it in a healthy way. So I would tell my son, your body's telling you, and you need to deal with it spiritually. Get married.
No, I don't necessarily agree with you, but that's an interesting way of looking at it. I don't think that you're right necessarily on that. I could be wrong, but I don't think that you're right on that because eating.
Well, now
is,
you and I are old, right? I mean, we're old.
Right,
But
meaning meaning it's not as strong.
16,
that urge is not as strong with us.
Yeah, we're 16, 17, 18 years old,
Right, but that doesn't mean that it's your body's or God gave you that appetite or that your body is telling you that you need to get married necessarily, and you shouldn't go out looking for a wife just because you have that urge. I like how you are saying it in a very tasteful way. That's cool, man. I'm saying it less tastefully than you.
Hake. Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought it was like, hey, if you burn, you haven't been given the gift of celibacy.
Right.
And as
that's not
man,
necessarily the truth. I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think you're making an assumption. You're talking about the gift of celibacy. The gift of celibacy, just because you, let's say, have that feeling. That doesn't mean that you don't have the gift of celibacy, because a lot of people can never marry, never have that, and yet still have self-control and overcome their issues with the lusts of the flesh.
Interesting. I was
and
more...
I'll tell you, it's not a need. I learned from a doctor. By the way, okay, because you're talking about you're talking about biology and biological needs and stuff like that. A doctor, this holistic type of doctor. I don't know if he would call himself. He used to come on the JLP show decades ago, and he said that stuff, it doesn't just rot inside you, and it's not bad for it to stay inside of you. In fact, it's kind of better. And then also, as it needs to, it cycles out through when you go number one.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So actually, like people say, oh, it's healthier to have that, and it's a stress relief. I don't buy any of that as being like on the whole good for you. It weakens a man to do that.
I was taking it in the same area as Jesse says, hey, you're 18, you're moving out. I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here.
Right.
And so, as for my son, I mean, part of the consideration for adulthood, working is not optional. If he's able, he has to work.
Indeed. Yep.
Okay. So, but also preparing him for to grow as a man. I'm not saying you have to be married to be a man, but I'm saying, hey, the sexuality part is a good indication. It's a good indicator. I'm not saying it's the only thing you consider, but it's a good indication that you might, not just sexuality, but providing, protecting, leading, you know, to me that goes in the same. That's on the same street as you need to get a job. You ain't staying here. You need to grow up, and so I would put that. I would put that in the same toolbox with the sexuality, with the get a job. Hey, you know, if your body's telling you this, you need to think real hard and long about getting a wife.
Okay.
And then,
But
does that make sense?
Not fully. I almost want to say it doesn't make sense at all, only because you don't need to think about that. You said that you need to think good and hard and long about getting a wife, finding a wife or whatever. No, that just as you naturally start to go to work after you have more free time, you know, after school or before school or when you graduate, just as all those other things, you don't really think all that much about it. You get an opportunity for a job, you take the opportunity. Likewise, you have this interest in the gals and you start to date the gals. By date, I mean, take them out to the movies or take them out to the McDonald's or whatever. And don't be like alone with them to where you give yourself you don't tempt yourself by being alone with them. That's just my personal side advice. But you start to date them.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would. This is just me. I'm not saying. I can't say this for the audience.
Uh-huh.
I'm not recommending this for anybody.
Yeah.
I haven't figured it out. Right.
Oh, okay.
But
right. Yeah, because
what I would tell just as of today, what I would tell my son is, as of today, you don't need to be entertaining a lady's feelings unless you have a goal in mind.
Oh.
You know, you need to come to the table, you know, willing to go all the way with it to marriage, or you protect her and don't allow herself to stimulate her imagination, her feelings, occupy her thought life. You know, you avoid that until you're willing to take over the responsibility of providing spiritual leadership. And that means being mature enough to know what's right and wrong. And if you don't hate her, you love her, you protect her from this casual, in and out, you know, hobby boyfriend type scenario. That's what I would tell him.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. That's just what I would tell him.
Right. And would he ask you for that type of advice?
I have a daughter too, so I'm trying to look out for both.
Right.
I would not let her mingle with a guy who's not.
But what about my
mature.
way of dating where it's not necessarily serious, and I don't necessarily when I'm dating a gal, I don't have a goal to get married to her one day. I don't have a goal that this is where it's going to go. I don't make that decision. I'm interested in the gal, and I hang out with her, and then, hopefully I'm mature enough and not selfish enough or controlling enough to try to control what she's thinking, or to mislead her, or to waste our time, right, so to speak. But if you're just being innocent about it, the way that the innocently dating type of thing, where you're not sleeping around or anything, and you're not kissy, getting all into each other's emotionally like that, then especially if the man is not getting emotionally falling for her like that, then that's the right way to.
It's probably too late, but I don't want to sound like a jerk over the line. I mean,
no, you're fine.
For you, I would say do what you want, right? I mean, I like what JLP says. Hey, this is what I would do, but you got to figure it out for yourself.
Right.
With my son, I would have to be more proactive and give a stronger preference.
Yeah.
Because I have both a son and a daughter, and I'm looking at it for, hey, you know, how do if what I'm telling him, she also needs to hear that. Does that make sense?
Sorta, yeah, but you're putting too many rules onto it. I agree with Joel Friday a little bit on this, because there is no commitment until there's the commitment, until there's that promise. There is no promise. There is no security. She should not be looking for security in terms of this is going to be a real thing one day, because you don't know whether it's going to be a real thing or not.
Yeah, but you guys are grown men. I mean, my jurisdiction, my jurisdiction over my children stopped when they leave the house. I'm just,
right,
remember,
but I'm just
mixing,
telling you,
mixing,
even for the sake of young people should not be trying to think like adults and think like by thinking like adults, I'm talking about thinking about the future like that.
Dude, I would not want a young man who's unstable and has no goals, no position on it, and he's just recreational going about. You know, to me, that's sort of a halfway of going about that. I would not want that type of guy around my daughter.
Is that where your mind goes when I say don't be all serious and goal oriented about it? Is that the only possibility?
No, I'm thinking. Remember, context matters. We're talking 17, 18.
Right.
Transitioning.
The transitioning into adulthood, people, not the other transitioning. Shout out.
You would agree. I think that there's much more nuance. Coming full circle. If I was asking for myself, should I date? And you have to put up. You would put up questions. Well, how old are you? Can you date? Is it exploitative for you to be around a woman? You've been married before? What was the terms of your divorce? Do you have kids? So, I mean, there's those that context matters.
Right.
For my children, I'm saying I don't have it figured out as of today, this afternoon.
Right.
Over here in good home Alabama. I'm just letting you know that would be my position toward my kids.
I know, but you didn't really. Why did you bring up when I said they shouldn't necessarily have this goal that I may marry this woman? I'm thinking about marrying this woman. Why are you going from when I say that to an aimless person who's just totally whatever you said, not treating any respect for the other person? Why are you taking it to extremes as it's either one or the other? It's either, oh, I'm serious about my future and gonna get married, or I'm aimless and I'm just using her for ego and just dating around and not even sleeping with her. But why are you going?
Yeah, I got you. That is a fantastic question. I want the audience to know Hake asked amazing questions.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome, bud. So I would say that the same thing with sex. That there's a proper context for sex. In my mind, I'm convinced it's non-negotiable. That should happen between a man and a woman
in marriage.
And so now you're talking about how much margin do we have within our personal relationships before it goes from platonic friendship to, hey, if I'm in it to win it, then I'm under God's authority. God's over Christ, Christ over me. Have to transition at some point to be over this woman. If you don't think that way, then what's the point of how would I tell my son to be a leader? And this is how love comes from the Father to Christ to you to your wife. How do I convince him that women don't have love? That you have to be the conduit.
Uh-huh.
And so, to me, it's a spirituality. It's a discipleship that it needs to be approached that way from a discipleship standpoint. And I guess that would be remember, it's all about context. I can't say everything I would say to my son. I can't really say it to myself. What I would say to you or Joel or somebody that's, y'all's age group and have the level of responsibility in their life experience. I could not say the same thing to you guys as I would say to my 16-year-old son or 17-year-old son or 22-year-old son or daughter. But sex, I mean, that's like asking, well, should you kiss before you get married? what's the line? And I would say the safer the better. In my mind, if you really love the lady, and you don't have hate toward her, then you wouldn't try to do something to her or let her do something to you unless you're married. But maybe that's too conservative. I don't know. Smoke on it, Hake.
But I
Smoke on it,
don't
man.
I don't exactly understand your question or response. I don't think you answered my question either.
Boy, I said a lot and didn't accomplish anything, did I?
Yeah. Some of it I agreed with. Some of it. Okay, so you asked, how do you convince your son that women don't have love, and that the love comes from God through the father to him, to the daughter.
Yeah, and I was trying to.
You don't have to. A lot of that stuff he'll figure out for himself.
I was drawing a parallel with sex. That, you don't go from. I don't know. What's the margin for sex, and when does it transition from? This type of touching is okay, and in a 6-week, this type of touching or affection is okay at 6 months.
What the heck?
And
You're talking about in a dating? You're talking about during dating?
Yeah.
I actually agree with the not even kissing during dating.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even touch her. You can hug every now and then, I guess. But that part is like, do what you want. Do what you see fit. But what you want, not what the lustful stuff inside of you wants. But it's going to be the lust. Because that stuff awakens. Even just your arm around her, they both get awakened sometimes.
Yep. And then,
so
at what point is she obligated to obey you?
Only after marriage.
Well, okay.
And then if she gives an indication that she wants to obey you, and by obeying you before that, but without your commitment to her, then that's an indication that maybe she's worth marrying.
I think time and attention.
But most women aren't.
I know. I guess the point I was making is that time and attention is a slippery slope.
I know, but I'm just talking about. But it's not necessarily a slippery slope if you're just hanging out. What slippery slope to getting married, to falling into marriage, or a slippery slope into having sex out of wedlock? What's your concern here? Getting married to the wrong person?
For me, or now
for your kid?
For my kids.
For your kids, yeah.
So, for my son, I think his responsibility in initiating, a sort of a relationship, managing that, protecting the feelings of both, especially protect the feelings of the lady, time and attention. He should be sensitive to that and have in his own mind what's right and wrong, and not exploitative. Same thing with the physical part of it. You can be exploitative with the time and attention just as you can be with the physical component. For my daughter, that would be different. Yeah, it would be different for her. That don't even give a guy time of day unless you know what his intentions are. And I have an idea about helping her in the context of, at some point she's going to be on her own completely. But there's a period of time that, hey, if she's interested, I'm going to be strategic in the type of context, that may happen.
Did you catch church a few weeks ago when Jesse talked about this?
No, I didn't. I'm behind. Don't tell Jesse, but I'm behind on my Sunday stuff.
Okay, well, Jesse, John from Alabama, he told me not to tell, and I'm tattling.
You're tattling.
I'm tattle-tailing. I don't remember where it was, but it was within the past few to several weeks. So I would say 4 to 8, maybe 10, 12 weeks or so ago. We talked about how parents try to stop the self-destruction of the children, but they can't because they've already destroyed the children by being destroyed themselves and not working on themselves. So they are not a light to their children, and then they're suddenly trying to stop the kids from making
No,
the
no,
same
no.
errors
Yeah.
that
No,
you
and
made, and
no, no,
they're
no,
not going to
no.
listen to you, and they're going to go their own way, and you have to trust
This
them
is
and
not,
trust them
this
with
isn't
God.
what- yeah. I'm sorry. And I want to make sure you understand it, and then people listening understand. I'm from Alabama, and they're probably going to just think idiot, because I'm from Alabama, which probably I'm fine. I mean, it's maybe deserved.
Why are you bringing this up?
Well, I'm not black and slow, but I am from Alabama, so I would say that this is not what I'm going to allow or disallow. I'm just saying these are things that I would instruct my children to consider. And if they want to make different decisions that are totally against what I'm recommending to them, I would love for them to be listening and overhear. Matter of fact, I'll probably go and save this little conversation and let them overhear this just so they wrestle.
If they're interested, man, because if they're over 12, if they're over 8, they may already be in their own world. But you didn't even hear me finish my point.
Well, because it's not valid. It's not valid.
How do you know? How do you even know what my point is to say that it's not valid?
Because if they're in my house, they're going to do what they're told.
But how do you know what my point is to say no to it?
I interrupted you. Joel,
No, I don't mind. I don't mind you interrupting me, but you are saying no to something, but you don't even know what the point is.
You are so right. I mean,
Do you remember being a kid in your parents' house, and yet you were in your own world, separate from them?
No.
Wow. Okay, because you probably traumatized. I remember, and I'm traumatized too. Everybody's traumatized, right? But I remember my young childhood. I remember I had my own world. I was sticking up my middle finger behind my back to my mother, and she was trying to scold me for something. I had my own life at my school and in my mind and off by myself and with my friends and even with my siblings and stuff. They didn't necessarily know anything about it. Even if they knew something about it, they could not control it. I had the hell in me. I had the possession, that sense of self in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I behaved in their house on some level. I looked like a good kid to outsiders and to them too, for the most part. They thought I was a good kid, but still, I was in my own world.
I understand. Yeah,
and I wasn't necessarily going to listen to them. And sometimes they gave bad advice, including even my dad sometimes gave bad advice, looking out and listening to my mother, who was trying to look out and listen and give me advice.
Well, and that's why I called, because I'm processing things.
So you don't remember that? You don't remember separating from your parents even as a kid in their house?
Well, it's kind of like not really. No, the bear with me. This is not a tangent. I'm going to keep it close to.
No, you're fine. This is interesting.
Okay.
People say it's boring in the chat, but they're liars. I'm interested. Go for it.
Okay. So, with Zelensky throwing his little tantrum in the White House.
I like this.
Okay.
Parallels.
Okay. Okay. So to me, my dad disagrees with. My dad thinks Zelensky was in the right. Blah blah blah.
Okay.
I told him that, me as a responsible man, I'm not going to go around with my hand out to my neighbors and burden them with my issues. One.
Uh-huh.
Two, he was, if a high school coach said, hey, team, and he coaches them up, let's go take on the Eagles, somebody ought to draw that coach aside and take care of him as well. The other thing is, I told my dad, I said, hey, I had a wise man tell me one time when I was growing up. He said, you can wash the dishes, or you can get your butt kicked and then wash the dishes. So, from my standpoint, a kid needs to know that you're going to be defeated, and there's going to be something to overcome you, or else. And a child needs to be able to see reality in their life. So I understand what you're saying about being in your own little enclave, but a dad's deal is to tell them, hey, this is reality. This is the way it's going to be. You have choices to make. There's
Right.
consequences to your choices. So Zelensky's in his own little mind, and acting in a certain way. I'm trying to be nice to him and say he probably got PTSD, but the reality is he's not very smart, and he needs to come out of himself. And so I'm just using him as an example that there's consequences for not being challenged. There's consequences for not acknowledging, reality, and for especially a son, they need to be shown, that there's some things you're not going to be able to overcome, and you need to be faced with the reality. And a good dad will help his son come to terms with that. I don't know if that completely makes sense. It was just the best I could do on short notice.
Interested. I was a little bit distracted because you mentioned Zelensky, so I was looking over the Zelensky things. But I think I caught the gist of what you were saying is that you want to guide your kids, and it's up to them to obey or not. You're not going to force it on them, but you are going to enforce certain things in your house.
Obedience is I will force them.
Right, but
on certain things.
Right, but on other certain things, you have no way of forcing them. It's okay, yeah, I remember the story. Yes, JLP cited this story in which a mother tried to prevent this 15-year-old girl from dating her 18-year-old boyfriend. That ship had sailed. The girl wanted to do it anyway, and so the girl stopped telling her mother about it, and she snuck around and did it. The mother went on a warpath to stop it, and had her friends spying.
By the mother.
Wait. Her friends were spying on the daughter and the thing, because the daughter started lying, and it got so bad. The mother was so imposing because the daughter would not obey on that thing because she was 15. That's basically grown. I mean, at that point, and so they laid down on the porch, the couple, and committed the suicide word on the porch, on the back porch, according to Jesse's recounting of the story. And this is a true story. And so there's certain things that they're never going to obey.
Well, no, that's
can't.
Not. You got the wrong point out of that, man.
What?
The mom. It wasn't the kids.
But you're being mama.
It was the mom that created the issue.
Right, but
and I'm not saying that if 14, 15 years old and they're ready to be grown,
and you're not going to be able to stop them from dating because they have a whole lot of
no.
They have a whole lot of.
No.
What do you mean no?
No, you went to that. I didn't. Remember, I was saying that I'm formulating what I'm going to say and how I'm helping them to sort out right and wrong. Then they get to make the decision. And if it's a 14, well, that's a much more of a bigger challenge than it is when they're 22, right? I mean, 14, you don't have a driver's license. Practically, to try to be an adult and take on all the privileges and responsibilities of an adult at 14 has challenges. I'm not saying that I'm not going to that extreme that I would behave the way that mother did.
I know that.
I'm just saying I'm formulating what I would say to my kids.
No, but you talked about obedience. Under my house, you're obeying me. They're going to obey certain things that you have control over, but certain things, it's ridiculous to try to control.
If they're 14 and they want to start their adult life,
You think dating is an adult life?
Do I think dating is an adult life? It would be. Remember, I agree with you that if you're having sex, you're married. You know.
Well, I don't agree with that anymore. But it's I didn't say having sex. I said dating. Dating isn't having the S.
In the story, they were having sex.
They eventually did, but I don't even think that she had it before the mother freaked out and went crazy on her.
Oh,
Maybe not, but that's not the point. We're talking about dating, and you're talking about S, which is not dating. It's more than just dating.
Yeah.
And you're also talking about adult life. The Jews and the old school people knew that you were basically grown at 12 or 13 or whatever.
Right.
They had the bar mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
The 15-year-olds had the quinceañeras in Mexico. So on some level, you go through that puberty stuff, and you're more of an adult than you are a kid in those interim years before you're a legal adult. But anyway, you can, even when you're underage, you can still date other kids as a kid.
I would handle it practically.
But I asked you, is that adult stuff? Why do you go to adult stuff just because they're having their little teenage dating? That's when they're, as you know, that's when they have the interest. Start having those interests, right?
You know, you've taken an abstract idea and you're moving it to a specific age, and I think that's a valid thing. To test the idea with different context.
Yeah,
I agree with how you're going about it. Yeah, I do. To me, right now, I'm not emotionally. I don't have my daughter's not at that age.
Nice.
So I don't have like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I have good or bad emotions, or really good or bad thoughts, because it's not it's not something that could happen at this time. I'm hoping that I would handle it practically and constructively, and maybe even celebrate, in a way that, hey, this is all the freedom that you can have at 14. I'm sorry, you don't even have a car. This is the artificial scenario that we have in this society.
But dating before you have a car doesn't mean anything. Dating is just a dating. Like, you can date for years, and you should, before you marry. So that you're getting way ahead of yourself, I think, with this dating thing.
No, I don't think so. I think it's that's a fallacy.
How is it a fallacy? Don't you date for years before you marry? Many people do. Many people have date for years before they even have the S, and sometimes they marry even before they have sex.
I'm on what is this chat websites and talking to people around the world, and I've talked to a couple people this week that they were in arranged marriage. There was one gentleman in
But
China
why are you bringing up other stuff when we're talking about your kids possibly dating and not having this sex?
Because we have an idea, right? And we're trying to figure out what's right and wrong, and then we're filtering through specific context.
But you asked me about for your kids. You're not talking about arranged marriages. What are you talking about arranged marriages for?
Well, I mean, you were saying that people date for years.
Yes, they do. Just because some people get arranged marriages and never date, they just get married, doesn't mean that other people don't date for years. I know I have siblings. I know parents and uncles and aunts who dated, never had sex out of wedlock, and then got married and then had the families. And some of them are married to this day. Some are not. Some whatever.
Yeah, and I would say, like, for me,
isn't that the right way to go about it? Is date for several years, get married, then have the children.
No, that's like me taking a pizza out of the oven and just let it sit all day and I watch it.
What?
Never eat it. I mean,
so you think you should have sex before marriage?
No, I'm saying that.
You think you should not date for years? Get to know each other first?
No, I don't.
What do you?
I don't think you.
You shouldn't date for years?
I wouldn't recommend it.
Why not?
But well, again, because of the time and the attention and the intimacy. I mean,
But you're not supposed to be intimate before marriage.
I don't mean physically.
Okay,
I
but
mean
same
physically.
thing. Why wouldn't you date? You didn't really. Okay, go ahead. Finish your answer. Why shouldn't you date for several years and then get married after you know the person?
It seems more honorable for a man to be decisive, to me. And
So is it dishonorable to wait until you know the woman?
I would feel bad for my daughter if she's strung out by some dude for 4 or 5 years.
And what about he marries her? Let's say she starts dating at 15, 16, whatever, 14, 18, whatever. And this guy's her age or a year older or however much older. And they're dating for 4 years or 7 years. And then he marries her. Are you going to call that strung along? Why are you going to strung along? Why are you describing that as strung along?
It's not my preference.
No, but let's say it
remember,
happens. Let's say she gets married at 23 or 25 after they've dated and he's sure about her. Is that strung along?
It's sort of like I would say this is what I would do.
No. Answer my question. You have a habit of going into your thoughts, not answering my question. Is that strung along when they dated for 7 years or so? And then he marries her because now he's sure of her. He knows her.
What age did she start? I want to sincerely try to answer your question. What age did she start?
I said 14, 16, 18, whatever, and she gets to about 25 or maybe a little bit younger, and they get married. And he's dated her for 7 years. Would you describe that? And he marries her. Would you describe that as strung along for several years?
I would question her decision.
No, you're not answering my question. You called it strung along. You went right away to strung along after dating for several years. Why would you call that strung along when he marries her after all those years?
For my daughter, yes.
Why? He's being whoa.
Yeah.
Why would you call that strung along if he waited until he was darn ready to know that he was ready to marry her?
I would ask why
are you calling it strung along? Just answer that.
I don't think they should entertain relationships until they are able to support a married life. Period.
That's ridiculous. You just defied biology.
No.
You opened this call by talking about biology says that the body wants to get married and have the S word, right? And now you want to hold them off until they're ready to take care of themselves? What, 25 years old and then start dating and then get married?
No, I didn't say I'd hold them off.
No, I know, but you said you want them to wait until they're grown adults.
So in
but why are you?
California,
But you didn't answer why you call that stringing along when the man's just being responsible with protecting himself, because women can pretend like they're going to obey, and you want this man to be decisive with a woman that he doesn't even know about. Why are you calling that strung along?
I don't think that qualifies as great insurance. Personally, I mean, I've seen people date.
Why are you calling it strung along?
Well,
when the man's just trying to know for sure.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's a good reason to string somebody along.
Why are you calling it strung along? He eventually married her. Stringing along implies that he never marries her and he was just using her for his own ego. But he eventually married her. Why are you calling it string along?
Because he's a weak man.
Why are you judging him as weak when he did the responsible thing and waited until he was sure he was ready to marry this woman? Unlike you, when you got yourself divorced, by the way, like you know so much. But why are you calling him? Why are you judging this man? Every man who you're basically, it sounds like You're judging every man who dates a woman for several years as stringing the woman along.
Yes.
Why?
He's weak.
Why?
He has poor judgment.
What's poor judgment about dating for several years until you're ready?
Well, the challenges you have as a newlywed are different than the challenges you have when you have 3 or 4 kids.
But why is it stringing along? Why is it weak and
because
poor judgment?
Because you can't imitate life as a married couple when you're not in the challenges of being married. It's a fallacy.
Nobody said you could. You're calling him weak. You're calling him weak and lacking in judgment. You haven't explained that. It sounds like you just have a judgment about it.
And he's fearful. What
He's
is he afraid
fearful.
of?
Why are you putting all this fear and stuff into it?
What is he afraid of his own leadership? Is he afraid of the divorce? Is he afraid of failing?
Maybe he has no fear.
Why didn't he pull the trigger?
What? Maybe he has no. Because why should he pull the trigger if he doesn't know?
No, he's weak. He procrastinates.
That's not procrastination. You're putting all kinds of judgment on it without knowing anything.
You're saying it's honorable. I'm saying it's questionable.
No, I said there are situations where a man can do that honorably. Every time is not honorable to date for several years. I agree with that. He could be weak. He could be fearful, but he might not be weak. He might not be fearful. He's just being wise. But you're calling it weak, stringing along, victim, acting like the woman is this poor innocent victim.
If he waits 3, 4, 5, 6 years, the woman ought to drop him. I mean, he lacks wisdom.
So you're saying that my brother, let's say my brother
Yeah.
dated this gal from high school all the way through college, sophomore year of high school, all the way through college, and got married at the end of college. She should have dropped him. They have 4 kids now, happily married, Christian, whatever, and he was weak. She should have dropped him.
I don't say the outcome justifies the
Right.
the initial.
Right, but why do you have this judgment about, why do you have this mindset about you should get married before dating and getting to know the woman?
No. I'm just saying you should come to the table as a man prepared to handle the obligations of marriage. Instead of
But that has nothing to do with dating for several years.
I think so. I mean, my son, he's going to hear from me that you need to be a
Have you ever seen marriage?
leader.
Have you ever seen dating and marriage done right?
Have you ever read I Kiss Dating Goodbye?
No, answer my question.
Well, I'm asking you. Have you read God is Love by Gerald Bray?
Answer my question first.
All right, what's your question?
Have you ever seen marriage and dating done right?
No, is this a I thought you were asking about a resource, Hake. I'm sorry. You're asking me just in general.
Right. You're bringing up you're name dropping all these phony Christian books by intellectual people.
Sorry. I was on me, man. I apologize. Have I ever seen it done right? Well, I'm not the arbiter of what's right and wrong as far as that.
But you are. You're arbiting that this man is being weak, and you're judging this man for dating every single man who's dated for several years. No sex.
If my son was here, I would look.
So the answer is no. You've never done it right yourself, and you've never seen it done right.
But there is a right and a wrong.
Right, but there's also freedom.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lower risk of immorality in some choices than others.
Right.
And I'm saying from a spectrum of wise and unwise, I prefer my son to be wise as well as my daughter.
Yeah, be wise and don't dive into some marriage with some woman who fooled you into you thinking that she was a godly woman, and you're ready to pull the trigger and protect her.
I am taking a beating. The audience knows I'm losing this, and it's embarrassing for me.
No, man, it's interesting, but we've gone long enough. I think that. So in short, don't try to be mama to your children. You can't protect them.
Yeah, that's right. And fathers, don't be afraid to have a stance and tell their children what you think and why.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Hake, I really appreciate you guys taking time for me today. I'm gonna
Yeah.
call and aggravate Joel one day.
Nice.
Put the question to him, and I want to see if you guys are have a consensus on this. And I
But
need to talk to
consensus
Joel.
doesn't show you what's right. Like you should know for yourself too. But you
No,
got
no,
you got
I
to question
know.
yourself on your judgment of these guys who are responsibly dating. They're not getting any closer. They're not having sex out of wedlock. They're not being irresponsible. They're not stringing her
They're
along.
weak.
And
They're weak.
you have this judgment. That's crazy, man.
These are weak men. Yeah, and I need to talk now. Here's my
And who are you to
All-
call them
all-
weak?
I mean, I'm just a dad from Alabama. Yeah. But when I talk, I'm gonna talk to Joel
All right.
and then I'm gonna call JLP, and I'll say, Mr. Jesse, what do you think? And then I'll say, oh, Mr. Jesse, Hake said this.
It's fun. It was fun talking, man.
Yeah, hey, all right, buddy, take care.
All right, you too. Bye. Wow. Shout out. All right. I'm stringing this caller along, indeed. Thanks, John, in Alabama. I found it interesting. Maybe I should have, not gotten carried away. All right. Oh my gosh. At least I forgot about my pain, my stiff-necked pain. Let me get to Zach, a first-time caller in Buffalo, New York. Zach, thanks for calling and holding, man. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Hake?
Going well? Thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about my huge dislike for liberals. See, I just don't understand how we even got here to see how bad liberals and the Democrats have gotten over the years. Over the past 6 years, it's been having a huge decline on common sense and morals. And, it's just disgusting on how people are still supporting Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, or just, they're just, with the ideologies. It just doesn't make any sense. And what I mean by that is a lot of them
Let me interrupt you
all for-
briefly. Hold that thought. Is it
Of course.
ZAC? I just want to confirm.
Yeah, ZAC.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, no problem.
Derek gets it right, usually. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem.
So,
But, I just
wait,
don't under-
let me interrupt you, though. Are people really still into Kamala and Joe Biden?
Dude, yes. Well, okay, so I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm in the deep blue state. I'm in the deep blue state, so I'm surrounded by progressive and, dyed-haired people, if you know what I mean, the far lefties. I'm surrounded by them, and it's just the stuff that they say is just out of control. Like, for example, I came across a protester today, and she had a sign that said that Trump is
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
No, it wasn't nothing crazy. She said that Trump should be convicted for treason. And in my head, I'm just like, what did Trump do?
I know.
To be convicted for treason? Like you guys
Nothing.
have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Convicted
It's
of loving the
insane.
country. Convicted of saving America.
Right, convicted of putting
Guilty as
America
charged.
first, and convicted of having common sense. Like,
Right.
it just doesn't make any sense at all, man.
Yeah.
So they're all for defunding the police. They're all for illegal immigration, which doesn't make any sense. Like, how could you be for illegal immigration? It's against the law. It's illegal.
Yeah.
It's against the law. If you break the law, then you're going to have consequences. It's that simple. It's like, what happened to the Democratic Party? Now, I'm going to say something. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be really honest. I used to be a liberal myself. I know.
I can
used to be a
tell.
liberal.
I can tell.
Not anymore. Not anymore, though. Not
Right on.
anymore. I'm gonna say.
Okay, well
around
then you
the
should have
year-
some understanding that they're just
No,
senseless.
I don't.
Oh well, okay.
No,
I get you.
What?
You went from being a judgmental liberal to being a judgmental conservative, or is that not true?
no. Well, kind of. You can say that because I do like. Well, I don't like it, but I do judge the liberals a lot.
Yeah.
So what changed me? The reason why I switched sides is because the first thing was defunding the police. I'm like, oh no, we definitely cannot do that, guys. Defund
Yeah.
the police? Come on.
Right.
That was the first strike. The second strike was when they started having like drag shows at schools and stuff like that, after school programs. That was the second strike.
Right.
The third strike, in my opinion, was illegal immigration. And actually, I have a fourth strike. They're against free speech. How can you guys be Americans and be against the First Amendment? That's insane. How did we do? Like,
when I was a kid, it was hard to get the liberals to shut up about the First Amendment and the freedom of speech. You remember?
So what happened?
I don't know. Are you in your 30s or 40s or 20s or 50s or
I'm 28.
Okay. Oh,
I'm 28.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when I was a kid, I'm a little bit older. You know, the ACLU was all about free speech and the freedom of religion and stuff like that. But now that it's the conservatives and right-wingers and Trump supporters and Trump himself and whites and others wanting to express their free speech, all of a sudden they're against it. They call it hate speech and stuff.
Do you know what changed that? Like, do you know why they switched their ideologies on free speech? Like, what started that? Is it CNN and MSNBC? Because I know those two news sources are like the worst news sources in the world.
Well,
like MSNBC is just disgusting.
There's a right and wrong way to do freedom of speech. They're for the wrong way and they're against the right way. And hopefully you and I are for the right way to do free speech and not for the wrong way to do free speech. There's a right and wrong way to do censorship. For example, I censor when people cuss in my chat, or my mods, if they're worth anything, will sometimes censor a little bit of the worse cussing and vulgar stuff in chat. But there's a valued speech about, you know, whatever the whites want to say about the Jews. As long as it's within good taste, they should be free to say it, unless it's out of order. You know, if you're in the wrong situation, spouting off at a church or spouting off at a meeting and disruptive and not conducive to decent conversation, then it's not right. But there's a right and wrong way of going about things, but they want to push the freedom to be immoral and not the freedom to impose morality or the freedom to speak what's moral. So everybody has that sort of a double standard because there's exceptions, and the free speech isn't even like the real value, I think. Anyway.
But you know what? Like, I value free speech more than anything. I don't care. And
Nice.
you know, I'm a black citizen. It's to the point where I don't care if the Ku Klux Klan has a rally right across my house. Like, I don't agree with their ideology, but that's freedom of speech.
Right.
I'm so freedom of speech. I'm so for the First Amendment that I would.
But what if it was?
Speak.
Let's say, what if it was dirty, disruptive Black Lives Matter or Women's March? Being all, or the Pride Parade in front of your house, and the Pride Parade people are like half naked and nasty and vulgar.
That's a good point.
And blocking your traffic.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So when it comes to vulgarity, like when it comes to the point where you're naked outside, first of all, that's against the law to be naked outside. You can go to jail for
indecent exposure.
Indecent exposure. So that's against the law. It's not against the law to spew out your hatred for a certain group of people.
Right.
So once it gets to that point, that's different. And that's why I'm against these pride parades. It's not because they're gay. I don't care if somebody's gay. That has nothing to do with me. But once you're bringing out like disgusting, I'm not sure if I can say sexual on here, but
keep it kind of clean. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, but like they have like disgusting like like outfits and really suggestive outfits and stuff. You know, and it's like there's children around. What is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? It is disgusting. They love to groom children with their ideology. It's like let kids be kids.
Yeah.
What the heck is a trans child? That sounds like an abused child to me. There is no such thing as a trans child. There is no such thing as a trans child. Let's think about it real quick. So kids can get hormonal treatment, but they can't get a tattoo. They can't join the military. They can't do a lot of things, but they can get hormonal treatment. How does that make sense?
It doesn't.
If that's not an agenda, then I don't know what is. It's like what happened to this country? And that's why I love watching the Jesse Lee Peterson show, because he always says he wants his country back.
Right.
I want my country back too, because this is not the country that I grew up in. I'm only 28, so I don't really remember much. I do remember the Bush administration a lot. Of course, I was too young for the Bill Clinton administration, but I do remember the Bush administration, of course, the Obama administration. Even with the Obama administration, it wasn't this crazy.
Right.
It just got oh my God, man. I just wanted to call in to talk about that because it's just gotten out of control. They're against basic biology. Like, I don't understand this. So now you can become a woman. Like, apparently I can become a woman just because I say so. Like, it just doesn't make any logical sense. And it's really sad. It shows that the education system has failed a lot of Americans in the millions.
It shows parents have failed their children, generation and generation.
Yes.
Because one thing leads to another. If you think about that, that's probably why things went so bad, was because you ponder how, like, you and I were raised. We were raised okay, but there were a lot of kids around us who weren't raised as well, and they're more susceptible to a lot of these ideologies. And people are swayed, just as you were, just as I am. We're still swayed in our own wrong ways to do stuff that isn't good for us, or to believe stuff that's counter to common sense. You might have heard the caller just before me. He's a sensible Christian man from the beautiful South, and yet he thinks that it's wasting the woman's time for the young man to date her for several years, even without having sex. It's a crazy thing to believe, but he has a judgment about it. And so everybody has these crazy beliefs, and they're raising kids with these crazy beliefs. And then the social media, the kids don't even respect the parents, and then the social media is
don't get me started on social media.
Yeah, they're
social
brainwashing.
Media destroyed my generation.
Right. Social media was anti-Trump in the 2016, especially 2020, big time. So there's the mainstream media, same way. So nobody's really thinking for themselves, and they're kind of set up to fall for worse and worse things right now. One thing leads to another.
So do you think it's a melting pot of different things? Like, the first thing is generational trauma with these families who are not parenting these kids correctly.
That's
and
the
also
main thing, I would say.
System.
Yeah.
Okay, you said, okay, that's the main thing.
Because education, that has a big influence, but I was more influenced by my parents' upbringing, my siblings around me, because I have older siblings, and then my friends at school, and some of the adults at school a little bit. And then, of course, the internet is highly, highly influential, and the media. So you have all of these influences. And then, not to mention your own dark mind. I don't know if you're a Christian, but your mind gets dark at a certain point, really dark, meaning like you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what life is about. You're stressed out about stuff you don't need to be stressed out about. You believe stuff is important that's not important. You start to chase after something that you think you should be chasing after in life, different things, different goals, and different women or whatever. And so there's all of this demonic influence in your mind and in other people misleading you, and it's a mess.
It just shows how easily manipulated people can be, because all of the propaganda that's been spewed down my throat by the left, by the far left, it has never, it never brainwashed me. So it just shows how the people just love to be misinformed. I feel like people just love being wrong. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think so, because once you've made up your mind about something, it's like me and my friend John in Alabama. I don't know if you heard us arguing back and forth about the length of dating time, but my mind is made up that you should date a long time, and his mind is made up that you shouldn't. And so we both have a judgment, and it descended into a dumb argument, and we're just, even if one of us is right, we're both dumb because we're into that, thinking that that's important to go on and on about. So people love to be attached. They get a prideful attachment to something that they think is true.
I guess that's what it is. But I just don't understand how somebody can really believe in something that's just so absurd.
Yeah.
But like being against basic biology. Like, what happened to biology 101 in sophomore class or freshman class?
I'll tell you one example of a person who went crazy. This person used to be sort of conservative, I guess, pro-Trump, and he was raised Christian. I think he was white, and he was on the internet, kind of big, but he was always like a little bit intellectual, and he loved intellectual arguments and reading things. And he read this study that said that the transgender kids, quote unquote, they do better if they transition. They have less suicide if they transition than if they don't transition. So he
That's
bases
contrary to the fact.
I think
because a lot
I
of
think
people,
you're right. I think you're right. They still commit more suicide per capita.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Right. And
They're not happy. They're just not happy people. Like,
yeah,
they're
but
not.
he fell for that shallow argument of addressing some symptom, and some symptom was alleviated supposedly according to this study, and so he thinks that that's the way to go, is less harm, but he doesn't realize that that's not really getting to the root issue of the person's delusion of the gender dysphoria, if you want to call it that. So
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because the World Health Organization, before the liberal agenda started, because in my opinion, I feel like the liberal agenda started in America at least around, I'd say, maybe 2018-ish. Here's the thing. The World Health Organization actually has a definition of gender dysphoria on their website and their books, but they took it out around that time because it wouldn't go, it wouldn't go with their little agenda.
Yeah.
If you want to be transgender, you have a mental illness. It is that simple. You have a mental illness and you need help. Now, I don't hate transgender people because they're still human beings, but they need help. And what's the best way to love somebody is to help them whether they want to, whether they want it or not. They deserve help whether they want it or not. They deserve mental health. They deserve therapy or whatever that deals with that. They just deserve help because that's not mentally normal. It's not even about being normal. It's just gender dysphoria.
Right.
A lot of these people who are trans have parental problems. They grew up being assaulted, in all different ways, and it becomes a trauma response. And that's what I learned with my research of gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria starts because it's a trauma response. It's that simple. It's really that simple.
JLP has counseled with and talked to different transgenders or people who've been told they were transgender and went that way on the radio show and in the counseling sessions that he does through Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, like you said, they never knew it wasn't them. They believed that thought. They believed that lie. And that's how really everybody is just these false identities with what you're told that you are and what you think that you are, and you believe the thoughts and you believe what you're told. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess, man. It's a mess. Well, thanks for taking my call, man. I just had to talk about that. Hopefully everybody can understand the disgusting nature of liberals. And I don't know, man. It sucks. I'm thinking about moving out of New York because I'm just sick of the politics and the policies here. I just can't stand being in a deep blue state.
Are you getting along okay in terms of having a job and taking care of yourself and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I have to not shut my mouth, but I have to because I'm not scared to speak my piece, but I'd rather not get into arguments with people, especially if it's a stupid, pointless argument. I don't debate with people because it's pointless to debate with people, especially somebody who's literally in the wrong and they should know they're in the wrong. I'm not going to debate with somebody that's in the wrong. I'm just
there
not.
You go.
I have better things to do.
Yeah.
But I'm surrounded by them at work. They're all big Kamala Harris supporters, and they all hate Trump.
But as long as you're not being forced away by finance wise, they're not shutting you down so far. You've been wise enough to keep your mouth shut. Then you might do what you want, but you might consider staying where you are, like God said in the Bible, or somebody said in the Bible. Were you called when you were among the liberals? Stay among the liberals. And because this distress that you're feeling towards them because they're so insane is driving you crazy, and you don't want to be driven crazy. You want to be at peace even among the insane liberals.
No, you're right. I mean, it's not driving me crazy. It's just very disappointing. And, and as a Black American, when I tell my fellow Black people that I love Trump, they look at me like I have 3 heads on my shoulders.
But you want to
like,
be.
how can you be Black and love Trump? How? Like, it's just like, because he's great. Like, I can't think of one thing that Trump is doing wrong. Everything that he's doing right now, I've always wanted to happen.
Nice.
Like, getting rid of the illegals. Like, I don't want illegal immigrants causing crime in my country. How is that such a bad thing?
But
like,
let me tell you one thing. Being disappointed is kind of crazy.
How so?
Because you shouldn't expect anything. You just shouldn't expect anything, or you shouldn't expect much of your fellow man. You should be fine with your fellow man being dull and blind and crazy and unreasonable. Because the world is evil. Are you a Christian?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, I was raised Christian, and I know that in the Bible, there's some wisdom there. And the Bible says, don't be dismayed at the evil of the world, meaning the people in the world. The people of the world are insane. So I encourage you not to get past get used to disappointment and get past the disappointment with people so that you don't flee from where you're planted. You just so happen to be planted there. You don't want to flee there thinking that the grass is greener, because the grass isn't always greener. I'm just saying, don't be too quick. Do what you want, but don't be too quick to move out to flee away from the liberals. Maybe you can be a light in a dark place just by being quiet and, yeah.
I mean, you're right. I mean, like, I shouldn't judge them, but it's like when your whole family are crazy Kamala supporters and they all hate Trump, it's just like, really, guys? Like,
but you're 28, so you don't have to be hanging around them all the time. You can still live in the same place, go around as you please, but if they're giving you problems just because you're conservative or because you like to converse with them about it, then you don't have to hang around with them. Hang around with them as you please, but I wouldn't be too quick to get away. And also, you want to overcome this stress of being around these crazy liberals, so that you can be around them.
Well, I mean, like, I guess that's the only way.
I'll tell you one thing: it's liberal. It's your liberal leftover liberalism, if you will, to not be able to stand being around them who disagree with you.
No, trust me. I squeezed all of the crazy liberal juice out of me.
But isn't it sort of liberal to not be able to deal with other people who disagree with you? The liberals are like that.
I don't know. Like, you don't think the right has like a problem dealing with the left? I don't know.
We do. Like, a lot of us are not able to be friends with other people who are disagree with us. But it's more. Conservatives are better able to be friends with liberals than liberals are able to be friends with conservatives per capita, per studies.
That is true.
And so you want to get rid of that. True. You want to overcome that last little bit of liberal emotional disappointment. Let's call that disappointment, because disappointment is a liberal word when you're disappointed in somebody.
I guess it is, Hake. I guess it is. Well, it was nice talking to you, Hake.
Yeah,
you
really too, man. Appreciate you.
My call.
Great call. Call me again anytime.
Of course. Have a nice day.
All right, you as well. What a fun guy. He was entertaining. Nice. Oh, man. I don't even know what musical day it is. So maybe we'll do Mary Rice Hopkins Tuesday or something. Let me do some super chats. I saw some stuff going in. Big Bump says, for a little tip for that caller who's divorced and he has children, and he's concerned about them dating and getting married. Caller, don't force anything. If you're doing right, the kids will follow, son or daughter, and stay out of your head. Very nice. Very nice. And watch that judgment about, I'm harping on the point a little bit, but watch that judgment of people who date for a long time. Do you judge JLP for his advice for dating for 7 years with no sex before you marry? Do you judge JLP as encouraging men to be weak and indecisive? Caller? John from Alabama, if he's listening. Nice. Right on. Just call it the brutal Hake moment in music, says Golden Rule TV. Thank you. Good advice from a big bump over there. Someone bought a coffee. Hake, speaking of relationships, would an age gap between you and a 29-year-old woman be something you're interested in? This person asks with a coffee. I decline to answer. I don't dox my interests. But I've been interested in a 29-year-old woman before. So, but I don't know. I guess the responsible answer would be no. Don't ask me why. It just feels like it would be responsible to be like, no. But whatever. Never say never. I don't know. But why are you trying to? Sounds like a leading question. Like it's leading to some other. Like, what is the reason for this question? It feels like I like introducing my answers by saying, I feel like. I feel like this person might be trying to set me up with somebody or something. But anyway, thank you. My feelings may be wrong. And that's whatever. Carver says, hey, Hake, there's some pretty wild stuff going on with this Trump versus Zelensky smackdown thing. Put the smack down. I've been noticing the lamestream media. A hat tip. Shout out, Sarah Palin. Was that Sarah Palin stole that from the internet? Maybe. Remember her? Attempting to report on it, they're trying to make the case that Trump is bad for wanting peace and that the right thing to do is to send more weapons to keep the war machine going. I know. It makes no sense. Reminds me of the beginning of the war on terror, but even crazier. Just thinly veiled war good, Trump bad, by incompetent so-called journalists. Scum of the earth. Shout out to this scum of the earth. Scum are human people too, okay? We don't dehumanize. This scum of the earth. Struggling to put it in a way, actually, that still makes Trump look like an evil dictator. I know. It's shameful and should even be obvious to the low verbal IQ people. Right. I know. The low verbal IQ people, a lot of them, the simple sometimes shame the wise. The simple meaning like stupid or what is that word that Elon Musk is? What is that word the popular word of the day for the JLP show? Lin Yen Chin, who might have blocked this gal, says that little brother so-and-so is right. You've entered a mouth breather loop with mouth breather John, wasting time. Snap out of the mouth breather feedback loop with worthless John, the vile abuser of suffix, says Lin Yen Chin. I appreciate the correction, Lin Yen Chin, and so, little bro. And by bro, he means little sis in the lowered, sister in the lowered. I repent and turn from my wicked ways of evil mouth breather mess and argument. Shout out to JLP. Thank you for the raid. That was Pastor Chatelet and the D Live crew. Thank you guys. I think. Yes. Let me refresh this just to make sure. And then I got to wrap it up. Thank you, guys. Palin was flat Earth. She could see Russia from her porch. That was fake. That was, oh, she's not blocked. Okay. Because she's his brother. And which means that she's not blocked for being a female. But she's not transgender. She's just, as we all are brothers in Christ, that means brothers and sisters. I think the Bible says, fathers, do not exasperate your children. I'm thinking that probably means mothers and fathers, parents. Probably means mothers too. Don't exasperate your children. Exasperate your children. Nice. Well, right on, Lynn and sis. Okay. What's up, Facebook crew? What's up, everybody? Let me see what else we can get to over here. So I did the watch out for runaway sharks. What do you guys think of the crypto reserve? Trump is going to do a crypto reserve, maybe. I didn't get to this, but the liberal media, I was listening to the radio. The Trump administration is working to develop, according to Commie Nonsense Network, CNN, to develop a cryptocurrency reserve. Kind of like they had the oil reserve and stuff like that. Part of the president's pledge to make the U.S. crypto capital of the world. However, some prominent tech and crypto leaders have criticized the plan to direct the government to stockpile Bitcoin, Ethereum, and 3 other tokens. Token blacks? Kidding around, shout out. No, it's cryptocurrency. Analysts say it raised obvious questions of conflict of interest, considering that the company that owns Trump's social media network, Truth Social, the company that owns Truth Social, recently made clear that they plan to invest $250 billion in the cryptocurrency industry. Right on. Other critics have likened Trump's plan to a government bailout of crypto, an asset class that just experienced its worst trading month in 2 years, which is not that bad, right? 2 years, 2 years been pretty good. The past 2 years been very good for crypto. So they're calling it a government bailout of crypto, likening it to that. An asset class just experienced its worst trading in 2 years because the regular markets did well. When the regular markets do well, Bitcoin doesn't do as well, and the other cryptos. Bitcoin is a market bellwether. It fell 18% in February, its steepest drop since June of 2022. Well, I'll tell you one thing. This conflict of interest, you can toss that out because Trump doesn't do stuff out of self-interest. He does stuff out of interest for the country. He wants to make the country great. So please, am I less valid than they for saying the real reason that Trump wants to do this is because Don Jr. has invested in crypto and it would help his crypto portfolio go up in value? That's the real reason. I don't see why anybody would ever need to use Bitcoin or other things for anything. So why should the government have some of that? Said this person. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if there is an answer to that. I don't know if that's the only scenario in which it's reasonable to get a bunch of crypto. But I think it's kind of cool. It's an interesting idea. It is out of the box sort of thinking. And that's Trump. And shout out to him for that. Nice. So these people are trying to say, oh, it's self-interest. Please. If Trump were really self-interested, he would have disappeared long before that first attempt on his life. And although he does like the spotlight, but it's for America. Watch out, central and southern United States, severe weather today. Violent storm. I may be late in telling you about this. New Orleans. Oh yeah, the dirty Fat Tuesday degeneracy Mardi Gras stuff happening. What a mess. It's terrible. Degenerate. God's judgment? They shortened the parade routes to avoid ferocious winds. That's my ferocious sound. You scared? Forecasts show this storm will intensify as it moves east in the hours ahead. This is probably already over. Lower Mississippi Valley, strong tornadoes. Gusty winds. I'm imitating the when the wind is blowing against my microphone. Large hail. So cool. I have seen hail in SoCal. The sky turns literally like yellow. And heavy rainfall. On Monday, a haboob, whatever that is, never heard of it, Haboob, dust storm, tore through New Mexico with near zero visibility. Wow. Shutting down interstates. A haboob, don't say that word, kids, is essentially a wall of dust and debris that can grow up to 5,000 feet tall as it's blown forward by the strong winds. Wow. This is some of the news I didn't get to. We're pausing the Ukraine aid. Oh, yeah. No more aid to the Ukraine after last week's heated clash between Trump and Zelensky in the Oval Office. Officials say Trump and his aides want an acknowledgement of or public apology from Zelensky before moving forward with a rare earth minerals deal or any future aid. The halt in aid will remain in place until Trump determines Zelensky has made a commitment to seeking peace talks, one official said, essentially an attempt to force the Ukraine into the negotiating table by threatening further losses on the battlefield. Basically, it's kind of like an embargo. Based, we should use our power for that. Because somebody got to stop the killing. They don't got to. They can keep on killing one another forever. That's what the liberals want. So, what a mess. Thank you, guys. I got to wrap up. I got to wrap things up so Joelle Friday can come in here. Look at these beautiful flowers. If you're watching the video feed. Wildflowers, you might call them. What do I want to play? I did mention possibly doing Mary Rice Hopkins. Why not? This is running for the prize. Shout out to Big Bump and you guys who have good taste.
It's time to wake up or put on my shoes. I'm running a race and I can't lose. The race will start within my heart. There's a winner in me and you.
Nice song, nice voice.
Win is to do my best, and I'm running for the prize. To win is to do my best with Jesus by my side.
It's children's music. It's Christian.
Well, I'm gonna make it. I've made up my mind. I'll leave all my worries. I'll leave them behind. I got what it takes, and I'll run this race straight to the finish line.
Straight to the finish line.
To win is to do my best, and I'm running for the prize. To win is to do my best with Jesus by my side.
Joelle Friday coming up next. When we sang this, it wasn't all
So I think I'll get up
Island.
and put on my shoes. I'm running a race and I can't lose. The race will start within my heart. There's a winner in me and you.
Don't be a loser. Shout out.
Win is to do my best, and I'm running for the prize. To win is to do my best with Jesus by my side. To win is to do my best, and I'm running for the prize.
It was regular white music.
Win is to do my best with Jesus by my side.
Fire emojis from Big Bump. He likes this track. It's a good track. It's a great song. She's a great songwriter. Is this Hake changes his sweater?
Jesus by my side. I'm gonna run.
Okay, Hake, it's fine. Take care, guys. Peace in the Middle East and in the Ukraine, or at least in your hearts. Take care. Oh, man. Terrible.